This is the most obnoxious thing I've ever experienced in my life.
Knock at the Cabin is the latest film from director, producer, writer, and cameo star M. Night Shyamalan. Shyamalan really has done it all as far as filmmaking goes. He has made one of the best movies of all time, one of the worst movies of all time, and lots of ups and downs, mostly downs, in between. And this movie almost sums up his entire career, so let's talk about it. The film plays out in a slight alteration of the trolley problem. If you don't know what the trolley problem is, it's basically a trolley is about to run over 5 people. Would you pull the lever to kill only one person, but you would have to pull the lever to save those 4 lives and just kill one? Well, in this movie, it's basically the same thing, except one of the characters has to sacrifice themselves for the rest of the world. It's a very simple plot, but I think it's effective, if it was executed correctly, that is. I thought most of the acting from the visitors was well done in this film, but the stickout in the 4 visitors is by far Nikki Amuka Bird, which I'm sorry, I'm definitely not pronouncing correctly. Her emotions are extremely compelling, along with striking facial expressions and physical expression. Dave Bautista also does a great job, although I will say his expressions are a little muted most of the time compared to the others. I did enjoy his physical expression, however. He was very uniquely careful and precise, which is an interesting enough characteristic. Abby Quinn, who is pretty unknown as far as acting goes up until this point, also performs well with similar characteristics and expressions to Bautista and Amuka Bird. Rupert Grint is, not great. Lucky for me, he was in the film more infrequently than the others, so he didn't have the chance to get on my nerves too much. But when he is on screen, the strange way he talks is distracting and out of character, and I ultimately think he just does not know how to play this type of character in a story. I will say, even with some ups and downs, all the visitors were written pretty to the point, which isn't a bad thing, but just doesn't really tell them where to go as far as characteristics go, so you have to give the actors some credit. Both Jonathan Groff and Ben Aldridge do what they can with the extremely one dimensional writing they were given. All we get as far as character development goes for these two is Andrew has a temper and Eric is more sensitive and emotional. And even though the film does a fine job of conveying these extremely simple characteristics through the acting, they still feel the need to add a scene of them telling each other that they have those traits. And this leads me to my next point of show, don't tell. There are way too many times in this film where I thought, wow, they really didn't need to hold the viewer's hand that hard. As a filmmaker, you have to respect your audience, or else it just simply gets annoying. Close to the beginning of the film, I thought, oh, I think there are 4 of them to show that they are like the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. A pretty simple and obvious conclusion to come to. But later in the film, one of the characters says the exact same thing, and it is so out of place and weird that it very obviously told me that Shyamalan does not know how to respect his audience. He needs to be certain that everyone in the audience is seeing things exactly as he is seeing them, even if it feels unnecessary, out of place, or just plain out silly. And the main reason that this movie is just not that great seems to be the script. So, if you didn't know, this movie is based off the 2018 critically acclaimed Cabin at the End of the World, but the script is adapted by Shyamalan as well as 2 other co-writers. And once I found that out, I wondered if they had changed anything from the book, and turns out, oh boy, they did. Skip to this time in the video to avoid spoilers for the book and the movie. 3, 2, 1. So, in the book, the ending apparently plays out like this. The daughter dies, but because it is an accident, the world ending does not stop. The 2 fathers refuse to kill each other, and they end up driving away from the cabin in a very uncertain future. In the film, Andrew ends up killing Eric to save the world, and then all of the chaos just stops. Do you see that one of these endings is a lot more impactful than the other? One is ambitious, unexpected, and brutal, while the other one is this movie. The decision to change the ending is so unbelievably toothless that I have to question what they were even thinking here. Even the chaos scenes that are quite fantastical are just there for the sake of spectacle, and it adds so little to the plot. In this film, everything goes almost exactly how you think it will, and it just drives me crazy how much wasted potential there is. The cinematography is crisp and sometimes beautiful, with nice looking video crops as well. But they almost drop that completely halfway through, and it's obvious that the cinematography doesn't really have anything to do with the movie, and it just looks nice for the sake of looking nice. There are flashback scenes integrated throughout the movie showing us moments in the two fathers' relationship, but the scenes are so quick and utterly pointless that they easily could have just been cut out entirely. If the flashbacks aren't there to progress the plot or enhance the characters, it just turns into filler, which this movie has way too much of. Even with its short runtime, it still feels like they were stretching this film out as much as they possibly could. After the first very intense scene, the movie just slows down for no reason and tells us just about everything, and then the stakes are immediately lower now that nothing is mysterious. In this film, all the deaths are off screen and not shown, which seems like a tasteful choice to not have gratuitous violence for the sake of gratuitous violence. But Shyamalan even admits in an interview that he just did that to bring more people in to watch the movie because teens want to see blood and violence, and in his own words, older women would never tell each other to watch it if it had extreme violence in it. So he tried to meet in the middle, and we got this. I personally enjoyed not seeing all of the violence, but I realized that the stress and emotion I was feeling throughout the film was not stress and violence because I cared about the characters dying. It was because I was worried I was going to be shown gratuitous violence. I did not care about the characters. By the way, the link to the interview I'm talking about is in the description. Shyamalan's overall shallow understanding of his movie, his audience, and filmmaking as a whole proves just exactly why he is a filmmaker who has failed many times and will continue to fail again and again. He will always prioritize making money over making good quality films, and that is exactly why this movie overall is a mess. A simplistic, underambitious, and soulless mess. If you enjoyed this movie, I'm happy for you. But me, personally, I can absolutely not get behind this movie, even if it is slightly entertaining from time to time. This movie is getting a big old 2 out of 10. At least it's not worse than Avatar: The Last Airbender. Thank you all for watching. I will see you in the next one, and please leave your opinions of this movie down in the comments.